It was a Sunday afternoon in San Petro, yet the town felt strangely hushed. The empty streets stretched beneath the grey sky, and a cold wind whispered secrets through the bare trees. At its heart stood the old stone walls of St. Francis of Assisi Church, a place of refuge and faith. Inside, Father Michael, a man with gentle eyes and silvering hair, arranged the altar for evening mass. The church's stained glass windows glowed softly, each pane telling a story of hope. But today, an uneasy shadow clung to every corner, as if the walls themselves held their breath, waiting for something to happen. Father Michael knew why. In recent months, a tide of violence had washed over the town. Anonymous letters lay in his desk drawer, each one more threatening than the last. Abandon your mission of mercy or face the consequences. Yet he trusted in his faith like a rock in a storm. As he straightened the candlesticks, the weight of his calling settled over him. He would not be intimidated. His trust in the light of God was firm. A sudden creak shattered the silence. The heavy wooden doors swung open with a groan. Two figures stepped inside, their dark silhouettes outlined against the glowing windows. Father Michael's breath caught. He recognized them. Men who had prowled the grounds for weeks, scaring away parishioners, demanding control of a town for their own dark ends. One was tall and scarred. His cruel smile lit my stained glass hues. The other bulked behind him, fingers brushing something heavy beneath his coat. Father, the scarred man sneered, voice low with menace. We told you to leave this town. Tonight is your last chance. The words hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Father Michael's heart pounded, but he straightened his shoulders. This is God's house, he said, voice calm. As long as I stand here, all who need refuge shall find it. A metallic click echoed as the second man revealed a pistol. The barrel caught the candlelight, sending a sinister spark dancing across the walls. For a heartbeat, terror froze Father Michael, and the few worshippers huddled in the pews. The priest bowed his head, lips moving in silent prayer, seeking strength in the face of death. And then came another sound. Quiet, deliberate paw steps on stone. Every head turned as a slender figure emerged from the shadows. A cat, its fur dark as midnight and its eyes glowing emerald, glided down the center aisle. None had seen it before with such purpose. It halted between the priest and the gunman, gaze fixed. The scarred man's laughter cracked the tension for a moment. What's this? A church cat trying to play hero? But the cat answered with a low, resonant meow that vibrated through the rafters. As though warning intruders, it guarded more than just pews. At once, the candles flared, the stained glass shimmered, and a sudden gust rattled the doors. In that instant, fear that once belonged to criminals turned inward, twisting their confidence into trembling doubt. Father Michael felt a hush settle inside him, a profound peace flooding his heart. He knelt on the cold floor, signing himself. "Thank you, God, for this angel in fur," he whispered. Around him, parishioners felt their courage rise, as though bolstered by unseen wings. The scarred man's smirk faded. He raised his gun, voice shaky. "Get away from me, cat!" But his hand shook so violently he could barely keep the weapon level. The cat took a single step forward, unwavering. Suddenly, the church bells began to toll, though it wasn't mass hour, and their deep chimes rolled through the night air, as if calling down a power beyond understanding. Paralyzed, the larger man glanced at his partner. "Let's go," he stammered. "This is wrong." But the scarred leader clung to pride. He squeezed his eyes shut, grip on the gun tightening. Then the cat moved again, silent and graceful, leaping onto a nearby pew. With regal poise, it sat and meowed, the sound swelling like thunder. The priest rose, voice strong. "You have no power here," he proclaimed. "This house belongs to the Lord, and it is protected." The combined force of those words and a cat's unwavering stare broke something in the scarred man's soul. His arm drooped. The gun slipped from his fingers and clattered to the marble. He sank to his knees, tears streaking down his dirt-smudged face. I can't do this anymore," he sobbed. The cat hopped down and brushed its head against the man's trembling hand. In that gentle touch, unseen chains snapped. Remorse flooded him. Every regret, every life ruined, pressed at his heart. Father Michael stepped forward, kneeling beside him. "You are forgiven," he said softly. "Stand and walk in the light," The second man rose slowly, face wet with tears. He stared at the fallen gun, at the cat, and at the priest. His voice cracked. I accept. The cat purred a steady rhythm, as if sealing that promise. Hope blossomed in the church, bright and fragrant. What began as a night of violence had shifted into a miracle. The two men, once bent on intimidation, now knelt in contrition. The parishioners emerged from the shadows, eyes wide with wonder. The cat, watchful and serene, paced between them, each step a testament to faith's quiet power. Even when calm returned and the bells fell silent, the church glowed from within. Father Michael placed a hand on each intruder's shoulder. "Redemption is yours," he said. "This night proves that even the smallest guardian can turn darkness into light." In the hush that followed, the dark grey cat slipped away, vanishing into the moonlit streets. Behind it hung the promise of renewal, not just for a church, but for every soul brave enough to believe in mercy. And though San Petro would remember that night for years to come, only those present could fully grasp how a single creature, poor steps echoing against stone, changed the fate of all. As dawn broke over San Petro, soft pink light filtered through the church's stained glass, painting the pews in gentle rose and gold. Inside, the air still hummed with the memory of the night's miracle. Candles burned low, their flames trembling like grateful whispers. Father Michael stood at the threshold of the sanctuary, surveying the empty nave. The two men, once so full of menace, lay sleeping on the cool stone floor, their faces peaceful for the first time in years. Outside, birds began their morning song, a chorus of renewal that drifted through the open doors and wrapped the church in hope once more. But in Father Michael's heart, one question stirred. Where had that mysterious guardian gone, and would it ever return to the church that it had saved? News of the cat's intervention spread through San Petro like wildfire. By midday, neighbours gathered outside St. Francis of Assisi, speaking in hushed, excited tones about the angel feline that had turned away bullets with a gaze. Some swore they saw flickers of light trailing the cat's silhouette as it slipped down the side aisle. Others claimed the air had felt warm and alive, charged with something they could only name grace. Children shared sketches of the dark grey cat with emerald eyes, while the more devout knelt on the church steps, offering prayers of thanks for a miracle so simple it nearly defied belief. All across town, people wondered, was this creature a humble barn cat or a messenger sent in disguise? Father Michael spent the afternoon comforting parishioners, listening to their amazed retellings. He pressed each witness to share every detail, how the candlelight had flared, how the bells had tolled, how the men had dropped their weapons like stones, and in each account he found a thread of something greater than coincidence. Yet as evening approached and the small flock dispersed, his eyes kept drifting to the churchyard gate. He half expected to see those glowing eyes once more, stepping through the shadows to remind him that true faith could arrive on silent paws. Instead, he found only the wind stirring fallen petals from an ancient olive tree, scattering them like blessings across the path. That night, Father Michael sat alone in the darkened sanctuary, the hush broken only by the distant chime of midnight bells. He knelt before the altar, hands clasped around the old wooden cross, flickering once with gentle promise. Father Michael smiled, a quiet certainty settling in his soul. The cat's mission was more than a one-time miracle. It was the beginning of a new chapter for everyone in San Petro. In the days that followed, life in the town took on a fresh rhythm. The once empty streets filled again with laughter and chatter. Neighbours invited each other to meals, and old grudges melted in the warmth of shared faith. The two men, guided by Father Michael's compassion, joined efforts to restore the church grounds, painting walls, clearing brush, even planting a small flower garden under the stained glass windows. And sometimes, when dusk fell and the shadows stretched long across the lawn, those who worked would catch a glimpse of a dark grey silhouette slipping between the gravestones, pausing to watch over the place that had become its sacred charge. Yet even as peace settled over San Petro, a gentle restlessness lingered in the air, an unspoken promise that the cat's work was not done. Whenever a stray breeze carried the faintest brush of fur across a path, or a distant meow drifted on the wind at twilight, Hearts would quicken with anticipation. For in every whisper of the night, the town remembered, sometimes the smallest creature can change a life, and sometimes the greatest miracles come on silent paws.